The people of Israel had gone back to their bad ways, and they had been defeated by the Midianites. The people of Israel hid in the mountains, and they had nothing to eat or live off. They cried out to God to be saved, but God replied,
I delivered you from Egypt. I freed you from a life of slavery. I rescued you from Egypt's brutality, and then from every oppressor. I pushed them out of your way and gave you their land. And I told you that I am God. I am your God. Do not be afraid of the gods of the people in whose land you are living. But you didn't listen.
One day, the angel of the Lord came down and sat beneath an oak next to where Gideon was working and said,
God is with you, almighty warrior.
With me, my master. If God is with us, then why has all this happened to us? The fact that God has abandoned us and turned us over to Midian.
I choose you, Gideon. You have the strength to save Israel from Midian.
Me? How on earth could I ever save Israel? Just look at me. My clan is the weakest in the area, and I have the least strength of all of them.
I'll be with you. Believe me, you will defeat Midian.
To show that this is real, I need you to give me a sign. Stay right there.
I'll wait here.
And so Gideon went off to prepare a young goat, a huge amount of unraised bread, and some broth. He then returned to see the angel.
Go and place the meat and bread, and pour the broth on them.
The angel of God stretched out the tip of his stick and touched the meat and bread. Fire broke out of the rock and burned up the meat and bread. The angel then disappeared, leaving Gideon to contemplate what had just happened.
I have seen the angel of God face to face.
That night, Gideon and 10 men tore down the altars to the false gods and built an altar to God, yours and my God, on top of the hill, and all the people knew that it was Gideon who had done it. The Midianites had formed a great army, crossed the river, and made camp in the valley of Jezreel. The Spirit of God came over Gideon, and he blew his ram's horn trumpet and sent messengers to call for his allies to gather ready for battle. They all came.
If you want me to go to battle and save Israel, then I need you to give me a sign. I am placing a fleece of wool on the threshing floor. In the morning, if dew is on the fleece only, but the floor is dry, then I know you will use me to save Israel, as you said.
The next morning, Gideon got up and found the fleece was soaked, but the floor was completely dry. He squeezed the water out and filled the whole bowl.
Please don't get impatient with me, but can I ask for one more sign just to be sure? Tonight I will lay out another fleece. This time I want the fleece to be dry, but the ground drenched with dew.
The following morning, the ground was soaked and the fleece was bone dry. Gideon was now sure, and he prepared for battle with his huge army. But God said to him,
Your army is too large, and people won't believe it was me who saved them, but the might of your army. Tell your army that anyone who is afraid or who has doubts should leave and go home.
22 companies left for home, leaving only 10.
There are still too many. Take them all to the river and see how they drink. The ones who scoop up water in their hands to lap it shall be chosen.
The majority knelt down to drink at the side of the river, and only 300 lapped from their hands.
I'll use these 300 men to save you and deliver Midian into your hands. All the rest may go home."
Gideon took their provisions and trumpets and took up position with the 300 and looked down onto the huge army below that spread out like a swarm of locusts. That night, God came to him.
"I have given you the camp. If you have any doubts, then go down to camp and listen to what they are saying. After hearing what they are saying, you will be full of courage."
And so Gideon went down and heard a man saying,
I had a dream. A loaf of barley bread tumbled into our camp and it hit the tent so hard that it collapsed.
This has to be the sword of Gideon, the Israelite. God has given our camp over to him.
So Gideon returned to the 300 men, full of confidence, and said,
Get up and ready yourselves. God has just given us the Midianite army. Divide yourselves into 3 groups and surround the camp. Take your trumpets and jars, and when I give the signal, blow the trumpets as hard as you can. Break the jars and make lots of noise shouting, "For God and for Gideon."
and they did as Gideon had instructed. Was so scared that they got up and fled. The Israelites, who had gone home, then tracked down the broken army and defeated them. The Israelites then lived in peace under Gideon's rule for 40 years, worshipping the one true God.